Are you good?
Lisa should be coming in here too.
Oh. She's doing the council chambers with Gunners.
Oh, okay.
And then click share.
Mm-hmm.
And then embed. And copy that link.
This whole one?
You can just hit copy down on the right hand side. There you go. And then so pull up the new tab and go to the website editing page.
That one?
No. Oh, yeah. Yeah. Okay.
This one?
And then edit. Go up to the top.
Oh,
Edit page. And then just delete that. You just click past, or yeah, and then hit delete. Perfect. And then insert. Media. Embed. Then paste. And you're good.
Oh, yeah.
So then just hit update on the top right. And now you're live on the webpage.
Okay.
Hey,
Awesome.
my deal's not, I don't have a,
It's not highlighted?
it's not highlighted. Right
Well,
now.
I made sure it was.
It was earlier on the other computer, but I put it up the laptop and it's not. There's nothing for me to hit to open up the meeting.
Just hit, yeah, that works too.
I did to Linda earlier. You want me to send it out again to everybody, just in case?
You can, it wouldn't hurt.
Kelly's not gonna be here.
I'd send it to him just in case. That way you can't say.
All right, I don't need you on there. There's Ronnie.
Trash can in here? Yeah.
Oh,
Is somebody knocking?
yeah. Yes. Come in.
Hey, sorry.
Oh, all right, you
I'm
good.
sorry.
Okay.
I just forwarded you the financial update budget amendments, if you could
Forward it
on.
to everybody.
And I didn't get the meeting.
I'll send it to you right now.
Okay. Thanks.
You weren't in.
I know. Oh, okay. I'll go home.
They told me she wasn't gonna be here.
Yeah, I was shocked to see her too.
So that's why I didn't send it out to her.
Like, unmute on them.
Ask him to unmute.
No, if it says asked to unmute, then they're not
Then
forced muted.
he's got it.
He's got it
muted.
muted.
Okay.
Right.
That's what I thought.
Well, yeah, probably wouldn't hurt.
Mindy.
She just stepped out and is heading your way.
Just in case.
Yeah,
Well, I took here already what Alan said.
right.
Oh, there it is.
So the new format is we're in new business, we'll put discussion items and voting items. I mean, you put the discussion items back here.
Yeah, just under discussion item, it's just a line item right after consideration of possible action. Number.
Okay. Okay. Getting mentally demented. Hey, Kelly's here.
Yeah, I made it.
Santa Claus. I told you wasn't gonna be here, but
Well, they let me off work early because I had to go do something else.
okay. Well, don't do anything, get yourself in trouble.
But
Don't do anything to get yourself in trouble.
I won't. I'm going to turn it off so the background noise doesn't get in there for a few minutes.
Okay. Hey, Kelly, just one thing. You should have
Yeah.
received an email about some cybersecurity training that you have to do. So if you would,
I tried to do it and it led me somewhere else.
okay. Well, if you have an issue with it, let me know, or Jennifer. You know, you and Johnny both need to get it done. Everybody else has done it. So
Yeah.
we got to get that cybersecurity training done. That is a requirement. So,
I've tried to do it twice, and twice the last time it said I'm not authorized to go in there.
okay. Jennifer sent you another invite today. So you and Johnny both, and that should take you right to the training. Well, you got to do your registration first. You got to complete it, but then it should take you right to the training.
Okay.
So just, I've got an email I sent you guys earlier. I'll resend that one to you with the steps. So, and I'll do that before I leave here tonight.
Okay.
Hi, Johnny.
Good afternoon. How are you doing?
I'm alive.
Are you staying out of the heat?
Yeah.
It's been pretty warm. I mean, just from the house to the car, it's, oh my goodness.
Yep. I stay in the air conditioning.
We have a cold front coming in the morning. It's supposed to be 89 degrees tomorrow.
Well, the wind's been blowing pretty nice since this morning. But like I said, I hadn't stepped out the house.
Just so you all know, I have Lisa Menace here with me as well.
Hello, Lisa.
Hello, how are y'all?
She's here in case you have any questions about the easements.
Now we can see you.
Yeah, I was hiding out of view.
I'll let her move in.
Trying to hide, Lisa?
Yes, I was.
I don't know.
Indy, where'd you go?
She's right here.
Okay. It's 5:30, so let's go ahead and call the meeting to order. I'll call the regular meeting for June 9th, 2020 to order. Let me get this disclaimer out of the way. Some members of the city council may participate via telephone or video conference. A quorum may or may not be physically present in the city council chambers. Texas Government Code 551.127 A-2. Citizens wishing to make comments should email mparks@evermantx.net, mparks@evermantx.net. Citizens' comments received prior to the meeting adjourned will be read to the council. We're going to, once again, we're going to go past the invocation and the Pledge of Allegiance since we're not here. We'll go to consent agenda. Item A, reading of previous minutes. Emergency council meeting, March 24th, 2020. Regular council meeting, April 14th, 2020. Regular public hearing council meeting, May 12th, 2020. The special meeting, May 26th, 2020. And financial report, May of 2020. I'll entertain a motion. Anybody?
I make a motion that we approve the meetings of March 24th, 2020, April 14th of 2020, May 12th of 2020, and May 26th of 2020, and a financial report of May 2020.
Second.
Okay, got a motion, a second. Any discussion?
I have a question on
Where's
the
Susan at?
I
Hold on
have a
one
question.
second. Johnny, hold on one second. I don't see Susan on here.
She should be coming in any second.
Okay. Let's hold off just a second, Johnny, till Susan gets on here. Then we can go into the questions.
Mindy, did you get the email with the budget amendments in it?
Yes, I send it all out to council, you, mayor.
Good.
There's Susan. So, okay, Johnny, go ahead with your question.
My question on the financial reports, not the financial reports, but the transparency list that's online.
Yep.
When you're viewing that, and okay, so for instance, there's a something that was paid out for $5,000 for fire equipment, fire jackets, for instance. Why does it say all departments instead of saying like the fire department or whatever?
I would have to see what you're speaking of. Typically, when it says all departments, it has no department identifier.
And that's typically found when you have a revenue account posting, not when you have an expenditure.
Okay.
All expenditures have a departmental posting. Now, if that was charged to EDC, they don't have departments in the EDC fund, so it may say all departments if it was funded by an EDC payment. So if the fund was 25, which is EDC, it's possible it would say all departments.
Okay. Well, like I said, it said fire jackets, and then at the end it says that it was charged to all departments. That's the reason why I was asking, and I didn't understand why it says that except on several occasions.
Anytime it says charged to all departments, it's because it has 0 as a department code. And the only
Can y'all hear me? I cannot hear anybody.
Yep, we can hear you.
Yeah. Gunderson, you're very soft though. We can't hardly hear you.
Use the left lane to take a slight left turn to merge onto
I
I-20
always
West.
speak softly and carry a big stick, you know. Anyway, that's what the transparency module does. If there's no department, it just says all departments.
Okay.
And that should only happen on an expense when it's coming out of the EDC fund.
Susan, do you want to start off on the financials?
Sure, I can do that. Was just going to make just a couple of notes tonight because you can review over my financial update. But the total cash position for the end of May was 2.4 million, slightly down, just like we were expecting from April. We have collected now 99.17% of the property taxes so far this year. So we're looking good there. The investments, we ended at 2.3 million with interest rate of a 0.69 and $1,639 in interest this month. A couple of other things I just wanted to talk about was that the fiscal year 2020 audit process will begin soon. We have the auditors coming out the week of July 13th through 16th to begin their interim audit work, their field work. And of course, as many of you know, we have begun the budget process and have started compiling stuff to get going on that. So just as a reminder, we'll be planning some special council budget workshop meetings in the next couple of months so that we can try and get this knocked out. So, and one little bit of positive to end with, the CARES Act money, which probably Chief is going to talk about, but the funds have been released and we should be receiving the check within the next couple of days. So.
Wonderful.
Yep.
Do we have any discussion on minutes or the financials?
I
wanted to ask another question. I think it was on the expenditures. It said that the park expenditures and the vehicle maintenance was higher than expected. What does that mean?
That it is partly a timing issue because they have spent so much already during this year, so they're over the percentage that is expected for this time of the year.
We had anticipated, a lot of that is due to police vehicles. We had anticipated to receive these enterprise fleet vehicles much earlier than what we did. Because of the GM strike that we ran into, there was about a 7-month delay in receiving the vehicles that we were supposed to have received earlier in the year. Therefore, the continued maintenance cost kind of continued and repair on the vehicle, on the vehicles as a whole, continued to stack up while we waited for the delivery of these new vehicles. But that should be minimalized at this point.
And at this point, those expenditures weren't necessarily just for the month of May. This is just an ongoing expense that has continued to accrue.
I do want to make one correction on the revenue report. Under the sales tax, bingo, mixed drink.
Yes,
there
I
was-
sent out a corrected copy.
Oh, you did? Okay.
Yes, I did.
All right. We had the wrong budget number in there. We actually are running on budget for our sales tax at the present time. We do not expect that to continue.
Right.
But we are right at budget currently.
Do you have any other questions? Minnie, would you poll the council?
Place 1,
Aye.
place 2,
Aye.
place 3,
Aye.
place 5,
Aye.
place 6,
Aye.
Mayor,
Aye.
motion carried.
Okay, next item is new business. Consideration possible action. Item A, approved budget amendments as presented by the finance director.
So this list of budget amendments was just sent out to you a few minutes ago. And this is just the beginning of the budget amendments. We will have some additional ones as we get closer to the end of the fiscal year, but we thought we would go ahead and get started and get these knocked out of the way. I can answer any questions on these if you have any.
When was that sent out?
Should have just been about 15 minutes ago.
Actually, it was closer to like 5:30. Could y'all possibly get this out a little bit sooner? Because I'm trying to look at this on my little phone and this is not working.
Yeah, I haven't looked at it yet then.
Well, that is hot off the press. We finished it at about 5:05.
Okay, this is Mackie. I'm on via cell phone. We're having internet issues here today. It might be hot off the press, but it does not give us any time to look at it so that we can ask questions. 30 minutes is not, that's unacceptable.
Okay, essentially, these budget amendments are things that council has basically approved at previous meetings. It includes things like the backhoe, which you all approved, the park expenditures, which you all approved, and Michael Box's salary and benefits that were paid to him that duplicated the budget numbers for administration. So these should not come as surprises. They are simply items that we have to upgrade our budget numbers for things that have been put before council and approved. And our auditors will require that we upgrade our budget to include these approved items.
That's cool. We would like these at minimum of 1 day before from here on out, please. It's just unacceptable to give us stuff 30 minutes before a meeting. That's all we're asking.
Okay.
When was the for the Everman ISD, the SRO contract? When was that?
That was done way back in 2019. And we started charging them on the invoice we send to the ISD back then. And we also began incurring expenses, but we have never updated the budget since that interlocal agreement has been approved. This is where they added one more SRO to the interlocal.
And the school district is paying us to do that. This is not actually 65,000 or 39,000, where is it? $65,000 that we're coming up with, right?
No.
That's correct.
If you notice, the credit account is a revenue account. So that's the account where they're paying us revenue, but we still have to increase the budget number. So
Yeah,
that we
that's
don't-
what I said.
Yeah.
It's always been a wash.
Yes,
Yeah.
exactly.
And
We're
several of
increasing
these-
the number, but it's just being transferred over, basically, from the ISD.
In fact, several of these are washes.
Yes.
Okay, on Johnson Park scoreboards, that came out of EDC, didn't it?
It's, the scoreboards did, but there were expenses related to it, installing them. So the actual cost of the scoreboards was paid for by EDC.
Okay.
So you're saying there's $2,100 worth of other charges on the scoreboard?
Right.
Electrical expenses.
Yeah, primarily.
Storage
Well,
room.
no,
door-
the electrical expenses are 4720.
4720, electrical. What is that electrical paying for?
That particular electrical expense for the parks was, our lights were blown out and we had to replace the bulbs at the park lights. And doing that was an unbudgeted item. And it was fairly expensive, as you can imagine.
That's a lot of light bulbs.
Yeah, it's a lot of expense in getting a lift to put people up there to replace them too.
Yep. What is the Johnson Park storage room doors? What storage room?
That's probably their equipment room.
Yeah, they have an equipment room over there that was just run down and the doors were corroded and we had to replace the door on that storage.
Where is this storage room? I'm having trouble seeing it in my head.
Susan, you know where the concession stand is?
Uh-huh.
If you look due east of that, there's a building, and that is half of it's the city building and the other half is the equipment room for the baseball
For the
association.
baseball, okay. So we replaced the city doors or the baseball side doors? The storage room, so it had to have been the baseball side doors. $4,400 for doors?
That's
Okay.
that's like a garage
Okay,
building.
no, I'm sorry. On it said the Pittman Park awnings offset by TML insurance. Now
Yep.
that was remember we had this discussion a while back because they charged that to EDC.
Yes, that's correct. We corrected that and did an account code adjustment. But now all this amendment does is it just allows us to put money into the budget to cover it. Those funds are actually being covered by the TML. It's an insurance proceed claim.
Okay, so they refunded, they transferred the money back to EDC?
Yes, we did.
Okay.
Yes. That's been corrected.
Do we have any other discussion on the budget amendments? Then I'll entertain a motion.
This is for the,
This is for the budget amendment that we just discussed.
okay. I move we approve the budget amendments as discussed, unless I need to say something else.
Second,
Okay, who seconded?
I did. Miriam?
Okay. Motion been made and seconded. Any further discussion?
Did we get we've already repaired the fire engine?
Craig?
Not yet. So the repairs are still being ongoing. We're hoping to receive that engine back this week. We were told it was supposed to be last week, but there's been some other delays. They found a couple of other small air leaks that they're getting fixed. So we're hoping in the next couple of days we'll have our engine back because we certainly need it.
And we've received the backhoe that was purchased.
Yes, ma'am. We have received that.
And the fire engine repairs, all we are doing is moving money to the budget so that it will be allocated to cover those expenses once we actually receive the fire engine back.
Right.
And receive the invoice.
Okay, you just said move money to the budget. Where's the money coming from?
Okay.
On the fire truck is from the general fund reserve.
Okay.
Susan,
Oh,
you got to
Lord.
remember this was an unbudgeted item.
I know.
Come out of the general fund.
Let me just give a quick overview. Budget amendments are required to bring our budget up to the level of approved spending. So whenever we expend money that we didn't budget for, we ultimately have to increase that budget with a budget amendment so that the department stays within budget. That's your way of approving that unbudgeted item for expenditure, is by allowing to increase that budget.
We got it. We're pulling $130,000 out of general fund reserve. Do we have any left? Sort of a rhetorical question there.
We just went over the cash report. I think we do.
Thank heavens. I was still trying to get online.
Okay, do we have any other discussion on this? Mindy, would you poll the council?
Place 1,
Aye.
place 2,
Aye.
place 3,
Aye.
place 4,
Aye.
place 5,
Aye.
place 6,
Aye.
Mayor,
Aye.
motion carried.
Item B, approve the CRF, the CARES Act Coronavirus Relief Funds proposed budget as presented. Let's go ahead and get a motion in a second, then we'll let Craig go into a breakdown that we can start discussing this.
Okay, I'll make a motion to approve the CRF proposed budget as presented.
I'll second.
Okay, motion made and seconded. Now, Craig, have at it.
All right. We talked a little bit last month about how we were going to be anticipating receiving $334,000 in coronavirus relief funds. We talked a little bit about what these funds could be utilized for, and they can only be utilized for expenses incurred in direct response to or preparation of the COVID-19 virus. The $334,000 comes from the CARES Act. We approved an interlocal agreement last meeting at our emergency meeting with Tarrant County. Tarrant County acts as the facilitator of those funds. So they are ultimately responsible for those funds and how those funds are spent. Since the approval of the ILA last week, we've sent that back to Tarrant County. I'm sorry, 2 weeks ago, we've sent that back to Tarrant County. And we anticipate to have the $334,950 check to the city any day. It should be here anytime. They sent it last Friday. Obviously, finance will take care of holding on to those funds and tracking it. But as a part of that interlocal agreement, one of the things that we as a city had to do was prepare a budget to present to Tarrant County. Tarrant County Finance and Tarrant County Administrator's Office would review that budget and make sure that all proposed expenditures would be approved as qualified expenditures underneath the CARES Act. Since they're the responsible party for the funds, they want to make sure that we're not spending it on anything that wouldn't qualify by the Department of Treasury guidelines. So what we've done is we've gone through and we have identified several different areas of expenditures. Some of these are expenditures that have already been incurred. Things like the purchase of disinfectant equipment, personal protective equipment like masks, employee time, the time that any employees have had to spend, paid time off, paid sick time off, any hours that were directly associated with response to COVID-19, all of those. So if you look, you should have got a multi-page copy of the proposed budget in your packet. And all of the already incurred expenditures are summed up in project number 1. Some of these other expenditures include things like the Chromebooks that you guys are using right now. Those qualify as an incurred expenditure. These are costs that we have already incurred. As a result of that, we anticipate to get about 87,000 of that allocated towards funds or towards expenditures that we've already incurred. The rest are things that we need to do for long term. As we've looked at how we're going to utilize these funds, we wanted to make sure that we were coming up with long-term solutions that aren't just going to satisfy the need for the next couple of months, but something that's going to satisfy the need for not only the coronavirus, but really any other virus or potential health hazard that might arise over the next 20 years. So we've kind of gone through here and highlighted 7 other different projects. And I'll just very briefly highlight. And if you guys have any questions about the projects, stop me, let me know, and we can talk about it a little bit further. Project number 2 was city facility renovations. So the drive-through that we put down on the south side of the building is a very good temporary structure, but it is just that. It's temporary. It doesn't offer a whole lot of protection. It's not meant to last for any amount of time. So we put in the budget to have this professionally remodeled to appear as the rest of the building does, and essentially be a continuation of the building. It'll have higher security measures. So it'll have solid walls, ballistic glass with a drive-through drawer that will actually reach out, an intercom system so the clerks can interact with the customers and so forth. Because of this, we're also going to look to have the parking lot restriped and resealed so that we can indicate the drive-through so we don't have cars driving into each other on the back lot. We also have to change the way that we're parking on the back end and move an emergency exit door from where it currently sits, which is where the drive-through is, to the break room that's on the side there. Any questions about the drive-through?
No.
All right. The municipal court also has had to make significant changes, not because of us, but because of the Office of Court Administrator who oversees our court. We are actually having to move municipal court out of the city council chambers and over to the city hall annex, and court is being done by appointment times now. So we're having to make some adjustments there. Because of that, we're having to purchase tables, chairs. We're having to make sure that we have internet over there, everything taken care of inside the annex so that we can house court appropriately. One of the other potential...
The employee that handles the municipal court, will she be moved over there as well, or just for the municipal court portion?
Only for court, only during court hearings. Her office will still remain in the same location, but we just need to have this stuff set up so when we have our court day once or twice a month, we'll be able to move everything over there so she can work out of there for the time being. We're also looking at the potential of credit card machines. That's still being evaluated, seeing what may or may not work, but that's listed on here as a potential expenditure. Project number 3 is a citywide telecommuting upgrade. So one of the things we identified when the coronavirus occurred was that our system is an antiquated analog system that does not have all the features necessary to allow employees to effectively work from home and to allow employees to communicate directly with their voicemail. It just lacks a whole lot of features. Our telecommuting software and systems that we have right now are out of date, out of warranty, and they're analog, so they don't integrate well with any system. This triggered something that's going to be beneficial as a whole. So as we started to look into what it would take to upgrade our phone system in City Hall, the vendor who we reached out to is National Telesystems. He came in and began doing an evaluation of our current hardware and pretty much asked the question of, why are you guys spending so much money on phone bills? Began doing an assessment of all the different phone bills. And what we've identified is that we have multiple different service providers within the different buildings, library, police department, City Hall. We're paying base fees. We're paying all these different rates for all these different services. And what they have come in and said is that if we can purchase the hardware, which is estimated to be about $40,000, they are able to consolidate all of our services into one service. That company, National Telesystems, will act as the facilitator for those services. So we only have one point of contact, and we're actually going to wind up saving about $23,000 a year on our phone bills overall. It's going to upgrade our internet citywide from the Fusion internet at City Hall and the cable internet at PD to fiber optic internet, which is going to give us a much higher speed and much higher capabilities, and will wind up saving us a bunch of money in the long run. Any questions about the phone upgrade? I like this. No questions. This is good.
Yeah, I do have a question. Chief.
Project. Oh, go ahead.
It's pretty much all written down.
I just wanted
Yes.
to ask, I thought in the past, or maybe about 2 years ago, we had talked about upgrading the phone system already. So is this something different?
This is because the projects we had looked at in the back, one of the big issues that we ran into is that we were going to have somebody in-house that was going to be able to manage all the different parts of it. The great thing about National Telesystems and what they have come in and said is that they take care of managing all of it. That's part of our annual fees. That's all included. It's a one-stop shop for us. It eliminates us having to manage our internet company and our phone company and our vendor for the hardware. It's a one-stop shop, and it saves us money every single year.
And I
Okay,
might
got it.
add,
Thank you.
it gives us an expert who understands all the pieces and helps us manage it better, because frankly, we don't have anybody that understands all the details between the technology of phones, internet, email, and how to get everything converted simultaneously.
Got it. Thank you.
Project number 4 was geared towards personal protective equipment. We do not currently have any air packs on our rescue truck in the fire department. Our rescue truck is our first response vehicle, so we were looking to acquire 3 air packs to equip onto our rescue truck. Those air packs will provide the firefighters with the respiratory protection they need. On top of that, we're asking for $10,000 to be allocated to PPE such as masks, suits, gloves, anything above and beyond what we would normally budget for personal protective equipment in the city. Project number 5 is community paramedicine and infection control program in response to COVID-19 community spread. This would be a program, as it says in the proposal here, that's geared more towards personal treatment of patients, particularly those with COVID-19. So rather than dispatching an ambulance to a COVID-19 patient, we could dispatch one individual and not expose or not risk our ambulance being exposed to the virus. We would just limit exposing that one vehicle. It also offers an opportunity with a community paramedicine program, it offers the opportunity for us to provide a little better treatment for our patients. It also opens up the door as this program progresses. Community paramedicine programs are actually a billable program that in the future, as patients are discharged from the hospital, but they don't necessarily qualify for assisted living, they don't qualify for home health or any of those programs, community paramedicine programs are funded by hospitals to go by and perform general patient treatments and things. So it actually opens up the door for us to create a revenue stream that would assist on our fire and EMS budgets. Any questions about that one?
Is this like a welfare check?
I'm sorry?
Would this be like a welfare check?
Very similar, yes, very similar. They would make patient contact. They would keep logs. They would know the patients. They would do things like if we had a patient that had problems with their oxygen bottle, that just needed their glucose checked, those kind of minor issues that don't necessarily need to have an ambulance out of service for, the community paramedicine program would respond to those and take care of those.
Okay.
Miss Allen, I think you had a question, didn't you?
Is this for an individual or an automobile?
This is for an automobile. This is for a vehicle. We're looking to acquire a Tahoe to be utilized for this program.
So so you're going the purchase is going to cost $50,000?
Yes, ma'am. That includes the purchase of the vehicle and the upfitting of any equipment inside the vehicle as well. So it's an all-inclusive package, $50,000 for all of it.
Okay,
now
now
go ahead. Oh, no, that's good. I was just going to say that the personnel we already have within our system. We don't have to hire anybody else specific or anything like that. We have the fire chief who would oversee the program and be the one primarily responsible for handling this. So we already have the personnel to run this. This is something we've looked at for a while. Now that COVID-19 has hit, this is definitely a program that could be very beneficial to our residents here. Any other questions about that one?
No, I like it.
Okay. Project number 6 was traffic management. As y'all know, we do the monthly Tarrant County Food Bank at Everman Supermarket. 2 months ago, they decided to turn it into a drive-through style. Month 1 was a absolute disaster. We had traffic out on Everman Parkway all the way backed up to Ray Street. It was just a traffic nightmare. So month 2 was a little bit better, but we had to reach out for assistance come month 2, and we had to get traffic cones and we had to get a message board in from American Barricade. And it ran better, but we don't have the equipment to be able to do this on a regular basis. So what we're asking for is for a 16-foot cargo trailer equipped with emergency lights, which would carry all of our barricades, cones, traffic control devices. It would house those permanently. So when we have our food distribution, if we have any testing sites that need to be set up, if we have any major events, all personnel with the city would need to do would be to hook up to that trailer, tow that trailer to wherever they needed, and be able to deploy the traffic control devices. The trailer with emergency lights would cost us about $5,500. We're also asking for a mobile message board sign to display any emergency messages or traffic advisory messages. Those are commonly what you see on the side of the freeway that display lane closed ahead, merge left, those kinds of things. We're also asking for about $5,000 in traffic cones and barricades. Any questions there? All right. Project number 7 is employee wellness. Currently, antibody testing is not covered by insurance because it hasn't officially been FDA approved. It takes about 2 to 3 years for those kinds of things to be FDA approved. One thing that would be beneficial, particularly for our first responders, is to be able to provide or offer antibody testing to them, because we have a lot of individuals within the city or employees in the city who feel that, they were sick at one point in time, particularly when this virus was new and we were just now getting information and they're curious if they ever had the virus. The antibody testing would tell them if they've ever been exposed to the virus or had the virus, or were possibly an asymptomatic carrier of the virus. To be able to offer that to all of our employees citywide, including the firefighters, all of the firefighters, it would cost us about $5,000. Additionally, we were including and asking for a one-time hazard payment to qualified staff. This would cover staff that dedicated a significant portion of their time towards the response to COVID-19. So this obviously includes police and fire, but it also includes other positions in the city, like finance, city management, anybody within City Hall that is dedicated a significant amount of time specifically to the response for COVID. We're asking for $750 one-time payment to the full-time employees and then a $500 payment to part-time employees. Any questions there?
Why is it called hazard pay?
Because of the general hazard associated with the job function that they're performing. So a lot of times, what the hazard pay is specifically for is, let's say we have firefighters that go out and they get exposed to COVID-19. Well, now they have just incurred the insurance copay, anything that the insurance doesn't cover. They have incurred cost of medications to be treated at home, any other losses, those kinds of things. So this is just kind of a bonus and a benefit to them as a risk of their job and job function, specifically responding to COVID-19.
I got it. I understand. But if we've had people working at City Hall who haven't been in contact with anyone, how does that rate hazard pay? I'm just asking.
Well, it's not that they haven't had contact with anybody, but we have had employees within City Hall that have still had to come in and perform job functions, even when City Hall was closed. They've still had to interact with citizens, even when the rest of the employees were off. So their risk was still fairly significant as well.
So this would only be for those, and I'm not trying to be cheap, I'm just making sure we're doing this correctly. This would only be for those people who actually had come into contact or had some kind of touch with any kind of COVID activity. I don't know how to say that.
Yes,
Susan.
and that's not necessarily our choice, but that is regulated by the U.S. Department of Treasury. They do not allow
Okay.
general hazard pay to all employees. It has to be for employees who are specifically related to the response to COVID-19.
Okay, all right, that's what I needed. Thank you, thank you.
When will the testing begin? Or
Well, that's a good question. When will all this begin? And the answer to that question is whenever Tarrant County approves our budget. I've been trying to reach out to get a timeline. I'm just not getting a firm answer. I don't know if it'll be this week or next month. But before we spend anything, I think the smart move would be to let Tarrant County perform a review of the budget that's here and make sure that all these expenditures qualify so we don't wind up getting ourselves in a bind later.
Yeah.
I did hear today, the county did tell me that we were the first agency in Tarrant County to submit a budget. So we're first in line. So hopefully they'll review it and get us a word back here pretty quick. But I just don't know.
Good job, Steve. Good job.
And I want to say Chief Spencer has spent a lot of time covering the guidelines of the CARES Act and answering questions, looking at questions that are kind of fuzzy, getting multiple answers from different agencies and people. And he's done a really, really good job putting together this budget based on the guidelines that are set forth in the CARES Act. So I think the city owes him a huge applause for his effort.
I agree.
Yep,
Doing my
awesome.
job. The last project in the proposal is City Council Chambers upgrade. We're talking about an audio video upgrade, the potential of adding audio video equipment, upgrading our audio video equipment within the chambers. So if or when, God willing, we ever get the chance to come back and meet in person again, we still would have the ability to live stream our meetings, not necessarily requiring citizens to physically be present to participate, those kinds of things. We're estimating that could cost in the ballpark of about $20,000. So altogether, this budget comes in at $356,800.76. I don't want you to panic because we said that we're only getting $334,000. We will not spend more than what the CARES Act funds. On some of these things, we have overestimated, overshot. We also wanted to anticipate in case the county comes back and says, hey, this doesn't qualify as an expenditure, we make sure that we have a backup. So we want to make sure that we utilize all of these funds to set the city up for long-term success in responding to any public health emergency in the long run. All we're going to do is just ask for your approval on it and we'll move forward.
Chief, I've got a question about project number 8, audio
ma'am.
video. I thought we had cameras in the chamber already.
I don't believe we have cameras. Now we do have audio, but we do not have any cameras in there.
Okay, we did once before. Mayor Stevenson was adamant that we go online and do all of that, and there was a camera staring at us in the face. As if you're sitting at the dais and you're looking at the back door where the clock is, the camera was in the upper left-hand corner.
Well, Susan, let me assure you, there was a lot of equipment, old equipment, that was in the finance office and other offices to facilitate that functionality. And It is now gone. So trust me.
What do you
when
mean
I-
gone?
Well, it was old architecture and the technology was not something that could be utilized today.
So where is it?
It was trashed. It was not usable.
It was never used.
I understand that.
Okay. So we got project number 8 set up for 20,000. Okay, I'm just asking.
Do we have any other discussion on the budget items or the proposed budget for the CARES Act? Benny?
Okay,
I'm good.
I'm confused. What did you mean we'll get a check in a week or so?
So the funds have already been distributed. The U.S. government has already sent these funds out to the counties nationwide.
Okay.
Tarrant County used that per capita equation that the rest of the federal government came up with and decided how much we were going to get dispersed to us. So the money is already sitting there. The question and the thing that we're doing right now is we want to make sure that the funds we're going to spend this money on, or the items that we're going to spend these funds on, are approved and qualified under the CARES Act. Because if it's not, what happens according to that ILA? If let's say we go out and we spend $50,000 on this community paramedicine program, and the federal government comes down and does an audit of Tarrant County and says, hey, this program doesn't qualify for the CARES Act, you owe us back $50,000. The county, by that ILA that we signed, will then turn around and actually come back to the city, not only for that $50,000, but for the interest and fees and payments of employee hours and so forth associated with that. So we just want to make sure we're dotting our I's and crossing our T's, that whatever we spend these funds on are 100% qualified expenditures by the U.S. Department of Treasury.
Okay.
Hopefully that makes
Any other
sense.
questions?
No, it does, Chief, and thank you for keeping us honest with them.
Mindy, would you poll the council?
Place 1,
Aye.
place 2,
Aye.
place 3,
Aye.
place 4,
Aye.
place 5,
Aye.
place 6,
Aye.
Mayor,
Aye.
motion carried.
Okay, item C, approve ordinance number 757, an ordinance of the city of Edmond, Texas, amending chapter 7, article 2, section 7 through 26 of the Code of Ordinances of the city of Edmond, Texas, captioned Fire Code adopted, for the purpose of adopting the open burning amendments, appealing ordinances or part of ordinances in conflict herewith. I'll entertain a motion before we get into discussion on this.
I make a motion to approve ordinance number 757 as read.
I second.
Okay, motion made and seconded. Now discussion. Ken, is that why you're here?
Yes, sir.
You want to brief us real quick?
All right, after a little bit of research, come to find out that the city of Everman did not have its own open burn ordinance on defining certain things that were allowed and not allowed. What we were based on was the International Fire Code that was adopted back in September or October of 19. And under the International Fire Code, any open fire that was not in some type of a container with a chimney or flue was not allowed. Several members of the council had expressed interest in having recreational burning. There was an issue brought up several months ago about allowing personal barbecues at the city parks. So after some research, this is the amendment to that ordinance.
So that means that we will be allowed to do those things, recreational and parks?
Correct.
Got it.
As long as it complies with the guidelines in the amendment, yes.
Right. So let's say recreational, we're having, what is it, a fire pit or something like that. That's okay?
Yes, what the ordinance does is it defines, which the International Fire Code did not. It defines the difference between a fireplace and a fire pit.
Got
And
it.
then it gives the distances that you have to be away from structures in order to be safe. If you were to build a fireplace in the back of your yard, as long as it was done according to the International Building Code, you could have it closer. There's more definitions in there. A recreational, according to the TCEQ guidelines, a recreational fire is anything that is 3 feet, say around or square, as long as the fire is not more than 2 feet high. Anything larger than that is considered a bonfire and would require a permit.
Got it. Got it. Well, thank you so much for that explanation. I just wanted to confirm.
Do we have any other questions? Mindy, would you
No.
call the council?
Place 1,
Aye.
place 2,
Aye.
place 3,
Aye.
place 4,
Aye.
place 5,
Aye.
place 6.
Aye.
Mayor,
Aye.
motion carried.
Item D, approve the Airman Events Board to host the senior parade to be held at Pittman Park on June 14th, 2020 at 3 p.m. with a one-time variance for road closure. I'll entertain a motion. Anybody?
I make a motion that we approve to have the senior parade at Pittman Park on June 14th, 2020 at 3 p.m.
Second.
Motion made and seconded. Craig, do you or Linda want to elaborate on this any? Since you were at the meeting?
Yeah, the events board they're wanting to do a senior parade, and how this senior parade will work would be a little bit different from your traditional senior parades. So in the parade, the seniors would actually be the ones driving around. They're wanting to have the seniors line up at the Everman High School. The seniors would then at 3 o'clock proceed down Race Street, past Pittman Park, up to Wichita. We'll come back down Wichita to Enon back over to Race, and then Race back down to the high school. At the park, citizens and residents and supporters and family members would gather and observe social distancing measures, but would gather and make banners and signs and cheer and so forth in support of the seniors who are graduating. And I just want to make sure that one of the reasons why I told them it had to go before council, because this will require significant law enforcement presence, and we will have to close down the roads for the parade. But we have the personnel to do it if council so approves.
Do we have any questions?
Yes. What is the point of the parade?
To cheer on the seniors, I believe. I would like to cheer on my son.
Oh, you don't mean senior citizens. You mean graduating seniors.
That's
Right.
what I thought at first, exactly.
Graduating seniors, it's a way to kind of cheer them on, since some of them, had special parades, I guess, drive by their homes and stuff, but not everybody got a chance to do that. So I think, gathering seniors at the high school would allow anybody that wanted to participate being a senior get cheered on.
It makes absolute sense when you say graduating. I thought it's June 14th, so it's Flag Day, and I thought, are we doing something patriotic here with the senior citizens?
Oh,
that's where my brain was going.
Mine
Okay, I got you.
3 o'clock in the afternoon. Seniors.
Yeah, okay.
Any other discussion?
No.
Mindy, would you count?
Place 1,
Aye.
place 2,
Aye.
place 3,
Aye.
place 4,
Aye.
place 5,
Aye.
place 6.
Aye.
Mayor,
Aye.
motion carried.
Susan, next month we'll vote on a senior citizen parade. We'll let you lead it.
In July? Hot as hell? Okay.
Well, let's move yours for August or September. That's even better, right?
I like October or November.
Okay, yeah, that sounds good.
January or February.
Let me, on these next 4 items, let me read them all and then we'll vote on them individually, I would assume. Is that how we're gonna do it, Mindy?
Yes.
Okay. Let me read the next 4. Item E, approve offer for permanent sanitary sewer easement for the land description, parcel 9, PSSE 40-foot easement. Approve offer for permanent sanitary, wait, I just read that.
Who the heck are you?
Permanent, it's small lettering. I can't hardly read it. Should have had my glasses. Permanent sanitary sewer easement out of a 4-acre tract of land situated in block 32 of the Shelby County School Land Survey, abstract number 1375, Tarrant County, Texas, the amount of $699 from the city of Fort Worth. F, approve offer for temporary construction easement for the land description, parcel 9, TCE 100-foot temporary construction easement out of a 4-acre tract of land situated in block 32 of the Shelby School Land Survey, abstract number 1375, Tarrant County, Texas, in the amount of $834 from the city of Fort Worth. Approve, item G, approve offer for the permanent sanitary sewer easement for the land description, parcel 26, PSSE 20-foot permanent sanitary sewer easement out of a called 14.5 acre tract of land situated in block 11 of the Shelby County Land Survey, abstract numbers 1375, Tarrant County, Texas, the amount of $1,401 from city of Fort Worth. And then item H, approve offer for the temporary construction easement for the land description, parcel 26, TCE 40-foot temporary construction easement out of a called 14.5 acre tract of land situated in block 11 of the Shelby County School Land Survey, abstract number 1375, Tarrant County, Texas, in the amount of $1,136 from the city of Fort Worth. Okay, I will entertain a motion. Oh, wait a minute. Mindy, can we do one motion and then vote on them individually?
No, we need separate motion seconds for each of them.
Okay, so I need a motion for item E.
Okay.
I make a motion to approve item E as read.
I second.
Okay, motion made and seconded. Now let's open this one up for discussion.
Where is
Okay.
it? Where is this
What
place?
the heck are we doing?
Where
We need a map.
Okay,
Let's let Lisa explain.
can y'all see this? No?
No, you have to
Okay.
share.
Anyhow, the upgrade of the city of Fort Worth sewer line that's going to be going through our city. Section of it is going to be at the south end of the animal control lot that's right now just utilized with a bunch of dirt. They will be extending their sewer line, well, they're enlarging their sewer line, and they're going to need this easement to run it where the existing sewer line is. There's already existing sewer lines here. They're just going to enlarge it.
So you
So we're
have,
buying this land from Fort Worth?
No, they're wanting to buy it from us.
Oh.
The first item is a permanent sanitary sewer easement that will remain. It's 986 square feet. And that's going to be the $699 amount for the permanent sanitary sewer easement. It's at the animal control facility, the south end of the property at the animal control facility.
let me explain that they need an easement to do construction, and then they need a permanent easement for the sewer utility access. And they're paying us to have that easement in these 2 locations that cover these 4 items. The first one is the permanent one for the location just south of our animal control center. It's a totally unpopulated, uninhabited space.
I've got the map up. You should be able to see exactly what we're talking about. I know you can't see it, Susan, but this is the animal control shelter here. And just south of it is that land that they're talking about.
Okay,
Would have been
you're
nice if that had been in the packet.
You're on E, right? Is that correct?
Yes.
Okay, on that it says Tarrant County, Texas, in the amount of $6.99 from the city of Fort Worth.
Well, that of Tarrant County is just talking about the location of the site. And then they're offering us $699 for this easement that's located in Tarrant County at this particular block 32 of Shelby School land survey in this particular survey. That's just a description of the location.
It's in Tarrant County. And Fort Worth is needing it to upsize their sewer line.
So they need the easement and they're going to make a permanent, they're going to buy it permanently. Is that right?
They're not, they're only paying us for the easement. They're not
Just the use.
buying
You're right.
Right. Just the
Right.
use.
Just the easement. That's all we're talking about.
Yeah, they're not buying
Right.
the property.
Right. Just the easement.
That's
Right.
correct.
Okay. I got you. Out of a, it
Go ahead.
says out of a called 14.5 acre tract. So they're not buying property. They're just paying for the easement to go through these places.
That is
Correct?
correct.
Okay. Okay.
Again,
Temporary is a little larger.
all of that previous verbiage is just a description so that it identifies legally the location of that easement.
Correct. I got you.
Keep in mind, both of these properties, they're all in the floodway. Is that correct, Lisa?
Yes, it is.
It's land that, one of them actually runs through Pittman Park, but the other one here is land that really can't be used for anything because it is in the floodplain or floodway. So that's something to consider too.
They're going to dig through Pittman Park.
Well, we'll get to that one in a minute. It's let's get through this one, then we'll go to that one and show you a map of where exactly what we're talking about on Pittman Park.
Keep in mind, they have a current sewer line. All they're doing is expanding the size.
Okay. Let's keep going.
Okay, anybody got any more questions on this? Are we ready to vote on the first one? Mindy, let's poll the council.
She's muted.
Place 1,
Aye.
place 2,
Aye.
place 3,
Aye.
place 4,
Aye.
place 5,
Aye.
place 6,
Aye.
Mayor,
Aye.
motion carried.
Now we're gonna go to item F, and this is the temporary construction easement that goes along with the property we were just talking about. And this is just for them to come in and do the construction to replace the lines. And then it's all it needs, just a temporary one. It's not a permanent. So I'll entertain a motion on item F.
I make a motion to approve offer for temporary construction easement for the land description parcel 9-TCE as read.
Second.
Motion made and seconded. Any discussion?
Yes. I don't understand the difference between a permanent sanitary sewer easement and a temporary construction easement.
Well,
Why do they need a temporary construction easement?
all utilities need to have a permanent easement. That's the first item.
Yes.
In order to do construction on a utility, you need a temporary construction easement. So they're two separate functions. One is a permanent accessibility, and the second one is a current construction. They're going to go in there and dig it up and replace that sewer line. They need a separate easement to do that.
Because it's going to take up more space. It's not just going to be the line where the pipe goes. They'll need elbow room.
This is for the construction.
Once they're done with the construction, then the temporary easement
Is done.
is done.
And the permanent easement continues.
Right. I get that. I just don't see the need to have a temporary if we're giving them a permanent.
For them to
I know it's legal. I know. I just can't see it in my head.
Well, if they come along in 6 more months and they need to get back in there and dig in again, they may need a temporary easement for construction. All we're giving them the easement for in the one you just passed is to have a sewer line running through our property. Okay.
Ms. Mackey, the temporary easement is much larger than the permanent easement. So they can house their equipment and stuff on the sides. That's why you have a temporary, but the permanent one is smaller.
Okay, I think that's what I said when I said they needed elbow room to get in there and put machines and work. Okay.
Plus we get
I got it.
$834.
Do we have any other discussion on that?
No.
Mindy, would you poll the council on item F?
Place 1.
Aye.
Place 2.
Aye.
Place 3.
Aye.
Place 4.
Aye.
Place 5.
Aye.
Place 6.
Aye.
Mayor.
Aye.
Motion carried.
Okay, back to item G is approve the permanent sanitary sewer easement on parcel 26. I'll entertain a motion on this so we can go into discussion on it.
I'll make a motion, we approve the easement on parcel 26 for this for sewer.
Second.
Motion made and seconded. Now we'll discuss this one. Mindy, can you put that map up? Show them where this is at.
I'm trying, Mayor. Give me just a second. My email's not going through. Give me just a second. Let me see if I can do it from my phone.
This one actually runs through the creek at Pittman Park, if I'm not mistaken. Is that correct? It follows the creek that runs through the park. And once again, like Gunner said, that they're putting larger lines in. So I actually didn't know we had one there, but it doesn't surprise me.
As long as they leave it in the same shape it's in before they leave, don't tear it up.
Well, one thing, just we did send this to Alan Whalen, and he looked at it, and he was good with the agreement, but he made a couple recommendations here that we're going to insist they put into the contract, and he said makes them responsible for maintaining the easement and restoring it to its present natural condition in the event of flooding or erosion in the soil. In addition, the construction be performed and completed in a way such to avoid flooding and take proper mosquito control measures, no standing pools of water. So that's the only thing he's seen that we need to add to it. So,
and this one is a permanent one?
Item G, yes, this is the permanent.
Okay.
Okay, here's the blue or greenish lines. That's the actual easement, which is the creek
That one's the temporary.
that runs through the park. And once again, when we get to the next item, the construction, the temporary one will be just a little bit wider than this. One thing we'll have to do is just make sure.
I'm sorry, Mayor. I shared the wrong photo. No,
That's
hold
all.
on. Stand by. I'm going to learn how to do this in just a second.
Could we include these graphics in our package from now on? I mean, I know that we can see it if you're online, but it would be nice to be able to see this before the meeting.
This
Yeah,
is the
we-
permanent one, Mayor.
Okay. Susan, we can do that. It just, we're still trying to work our way around this. It's all kind of new to us. So there's a lot of things that we have the capability of doing. We're just not quite to that point yet. So
I got you.
Let me
Well, we
just
got
say,
45 pages in this agenda, so I figure a couple of pictures wouldn't hurt anything.
yeah, but it's not just a couple pictures. If we sent you the whole easement package, you'd have another 45 pages.
bigger than that.
Mr. Gunderson, y'all are showing us single pictures to see what it looked like. That's the part I'm talking about. Just a picture to see what it looks like.
The only thing that concerns me is just to make sure they don't come in and tear up our track or any of our playground equipment or anything that we currently have in place. So.
Yes.
All that in writing?
What's that?
Isn't all of that going to be in writing?
Oh, yeah. Fort Worth ain't gonna do anything without it being in writing. So, and, we're just gonna make sure that we.
Well,
say
I
our-
mean, for them to repair what they, or replace what they tear up or whatever.
I'm sure that.
We have actually already approved a lot of this. This is the sewer replacement that we've talked with Fort Worth about in the past that has been put before council. So this is just part of that process, that sewer replacement process. This sewer line stretches all the way throughout the city. It goes all the way down Enon. The property that they tear up that belongs to the city, as a part of that agreement, they do repair and fix. They're going to be tearing up Enon. They're going to be tearing up several of our roads to come in and put this in. This is just a part of one of the small steps in that big process of running their new sewer line all the way through the city.
Good to know they're gonna fix it.
Do we have any other questions?
Mm.
Mindy, would you poll the council?
Place 1,
Aye.
place 2,
Aye.
place 3,
Aye.
place 4,
Aye.
place 5,
Aye.
place 6,
Aye.
Mayor,
Aye.
motion carried.
Okay, now item H, approve the offer for the temporary construction easement at the same location at Pittman Park. I'll entertain a motion on that one.
I move we approve the offer for the temporary construction easement for the land description as read.
I'll second.
Motion made and
Item
seconded.
A, whatever.
Any further discussion?
I
Okay,
think we
without
beat it up
discussion-
pretty good. No,
What's that?
Are they both,
no. Go ahead.
one's temporary and the other one's permanent?
Yes. The temporary one's the one, like Craig said earlier, it's a little bit broader than the temporary or the permanent. And that allows them room for their equipment and, anything they have to do in relation to the site. So this is the temporary one that we're talking about now. Do we have anything else on this? Mindy, would you poll the council?
Place 1,
Aye.
place 2,
Aye.
place 3,
Aye.
place 4,
Aye.
place 5,
Aye.
place 6,
Aye.
Mayor,
Aye.
motion carried.
Okay, now we're through that. Item I, approve the new board appointment of Richard how do you pronounce that, Mindy?
I believe it's Azarias.
Azarias?
I'm not sure. Your guess is about as good as mine on that one.
Okay.
It's
Approve the
Zacharias.
new board.
Zacharias? Okay.
Yes,
Okay.
Azarias?
it's Zacharias.
Zacharias.
That doesn't sound right.
Okay, approve the new board appointment of Richard Isararas or whatever it is, Isarraraz to the Planning and Zoning Commission. I'll entertain a motion.
We're scared of the name. I move we approve Richard Izaradas as a new member of the Planning and Zoning Commission.
Second.
Who was the second?
I did, and I
Matt
think
Sellers.
Mary did.
Judy's fine.
Okay, we have any discussion on that?
Mm-mm.
Mandy, did you poll the council?
Place 1,
Aye.
place 2,
Aye.
place 3,
Aye.
place 4,
Aye.
place 5,
Aye.
place 6,
Aye.
Mayor,
Aye.
motion carried.
Item J, approve the new board appointment of Johnny Allen to the library board. I'll entertain a motion.
Make a motion to approve Johnny Allen to the library board.
Second.
Motion made and second. Any further discussion? Poll the council.
Place 1,
Aye.
place 2,
Aye.
place 4,
Aye.
place 5,
Aye.
place 6,
Aye.
Mayor,
Aye.
motion carried.
Okay, item 6, discussion items. Item A, trash pickup. Johnny, I believe that's yours.
Yes, when I emailed Mindy on this, I didn't mean to be an item. I was going under residential comments. But reason why I wanted to discuss the trash pickup is because I've always been told regarding trash pickup that you could put out anything the size of a Volkswagen or something like that. But the trash people don't always pick up everything. I'm not talking about debris. I'm just talking about regular trash. And so I thought it would be as the courtesy to residents, we could send them out maybe twice a year, a reminder of what we can put out for trash. And I know it may be a cost, if we have to add it in the water bill or whatever, but I think it would be beneficial to our residents.
I think we've got avenues available now that we haven't in the past, with our website and.
Yeah, but I mean,
Put it in the water bill.
Did somebody say
Go ahead.
something?
Go ahead, Johnny.
No, but I think as a courtesy, we should be able to put something like this in our water bill for the residents to have, like I said, at least maybe twice a year. Just a reminder of what they do and don't pick up, because I can understand that they don't pick up the brush if it's not in 4 feet or whatever and bound, but for smaller items, I'm not understanding that. And so I think not only letting as a courtesy to our residents, if it's stuff that the trash people need to be picking up, we need to remind them that they need to pick this stuff up. Because I mean, we just renewed a contract with them for the next 4 years. And I mean, they need to pick up our trash. And I shouldn't have to go to the city and tell them, well, hey, they didn't pick my trash up today. And then you could call them and they're like, okay, we'll be out to pick it up and never come out.
Well, but Johnny, that's the way we handle these issues, currently. We have to call them out on it if they miss something that they should pick.
Yeah, but that's what I'm saying. They don't come back out. If you call them, they'll say, well, okay, we'll be out, just sit it back out there. They don't come back to pick it up. But so I think that it needs to be handled where they do on their end, and then we do on ours, as far as what we are supposed to put out and what we're not supposed to put out.
If I can offer an alternative, and Miss Allen, I don't know if you're aware. So Jeff Reed actually, he is in direct contact with the field supervisor responsible for our area. So if they don't come back out, if we can make sure that Jeff Reed knows, Jeff Reed will call, I believe his name's Salvador, if I'm thinking right. He'll actually call that field supervisor, and I've seen him jump down his throat. He'll make sure he gets on top of them to hold them accountable and get those guys out there, even if it's the next day. So if we have that problem, certainly we want to make sure Jeff Reed gets notified about it, because he handles all those complaints. An alternative, though, to the public education that you're wanting, without necessarily the cost, is we can certainly utilize our CTY, Facebook, library, and flyer postings inside City Hall and library, if you would like, to make sure that we're pushing that information out there and making sure it's accessible to our citizens. And we can start that right away if you'd like.
Well, I mean, I shouldn't have to go to City Hall and or look on the website to get this information. I mean, what is the problem with putting a one-page document in the water bill twice a year?
I think the only it's not that there's a problem. I think the only thing that steers us away from that is simply the cost. It's not cheap.
Well, okay, we can find money for everything else. I mean, like I said, we just raised we just gave the trash people an increase, but and signed a contract for 4 year. I mean, and even on recycling that people don't even use. So I mean, we could do a courtesy and put a 1 page or 2 page or however many page document in the water bill twice a year to let them know regarding trash pickup.
Absolutely, and that's council's choice. I was just offering alternatives, but yes, ma'am.
No,
absolutely.
I understand.
Johnny, for right now, if they have an issue with trash, we need to continue to call.
Mayor, you're muted.
Let us work at it.
Sorry about that. We're going to continue like we are. If they do have an issue, they need to call City Hall and let us investigate it, get the right people out there, see if we can get it picked up, find out if it's something we're doing wrong, or as far as a city or resident, or if it's something with the trash company. That the only way we get these things addressed and get them corrected is to call them out on it. So,
well, like I said, I have no problem with them calling Jeff, but I still think that as far as educating the residents, since their tax dollars are going toward this stuff, we could let them know what they can and cannot put out.
I think a CTY announcement on that should get a majority of the citizens.
But everybody's not on CTY.
well, and I know the girls up here at City Hall, we have a new account or something open. They have flyers here that they're giving out to the residents that instructs them on what they can throw away and what they can't. So the information's there. So we can.
They can always give them out at the drive-through when they pay their water bills. If somebody's asking.
I mean,
yeah, give them a receipt and give them a piece of paper. Yeah.
Yeah.
So, but okay, well, I'm sure we'll be back on this at some point in the near future. So let's, like I said, let's get those complaints in so we're aware of them. Because, a lot of times we hear there's complaints, but then we check up here and hadn't been a complaint called in. And, it doesn't do any good for us to try to address something when we don't know about it. So, but just have them call City Hall for the time being, and let's see if we can get it corrected. Okay, item B, update on funding on well project.
Okay, the last page in the packet that Mindy sent out is headed up. It says City of Everman, combination tax unlimited pledge revenue certificates. As y'all are aware, we're looking at putting in a new water well. We, as directors in the city, got together and said, this is a good time since we're working on CIP, and our financial advisor said, if you have other things that you want to put in, let's put together the whole package. And this is kind of urgent, so we're trying not to put in things that we can't get done in the next 18 months. But this calendar shows you what we have to do over the next 3 to 4 months to get this funding for the water well. At the top, it shows a $1.1 million issuance. We have added to that, and I will explain in a minute what's involved in it, but that amount is now 3.8 million. And the reason that we are going with that number is because this notification that has to go out to the public explains that we are in a capital improvements process, and we list a number of projects, the first and most urgent being the water well and related water tanks. So next week, we're calling a special meeting on Tuesday to pass the notice of issuance, or notice of intent, I'm sorry, to issue certificates of obligation. Now, this is the first step that's required, and we have to put an amount on that notice. Now, we can't go above that amount, but we don't have to spend it all. And what we have included in that 3.8 million is a new water well, related water storage tanks at PD and the new well. We are anticipating a need to purchase property to expand City Hall. We are anticipating completely rebuilding the annex. And help me out, Chief, there was one other thing here.
Fire station, sir.
The renovation of the fire station, which we've been talking about, and we know that's going to be in the $1 million to $1.5 million range to get that done. So we have estimated the cost on these items, and we are putting forth this notice to advise everyone we're planning on spending up to $3.8 million in renovations and capital improvements in the city over the next 2 years. The next step, and then you can follow the next steps. On Wednesday, we have to post that NOI and so forth. But these are the steps, and the reason for the meeting next week is to approve the public notification of your intent for these capital improvements. Any questions?
One thing to keep in mind, once we get some good solid numbers and we can get together with council and show you a breakdown of where the money's going to come from to pay this off. And this whole thing, it's a pretty big project. So, but we'll be able to sit down and go into more detail how this whole thing is going to be handled.
Yeah, this is just step one that shows you the calendar, and step one in getting moving on primarily the urgency of adding the water well, driven by the development of a potential new neighborhood that we need to be able to provide water services to. And after talking to our engineers and looking at it, we need a new well to do that. Now, hopefully the property taxes and the water revenues will pay for that improvement. And we will have other revenue sources for the additional improvements we're talking about. But urgently, we need to get started and get this calendar moving. So
What
first,
on Wednesday, June the 17th, what is city's formal internet website?
well, we have, when you approve the notice of intent, then I have to get that notice of intent after you approve it, posted on our website, on the city's website. This basically shows all the steps that we need to execute in order to finally get this issuance.
Okay, we've talked about the water well before, like a lot of people moving in, building, et cetera, and we do need another water well. I don't recall hearing anything about major reconstruction of the expansion of the city hall or reconstruction of the annex.
And we
I
will
don't
be,
recall ever hearing that.
it will be part of our our CIP discussion during budget this year. But
So we're gonna put it in our CIP budget discussion in June, July, and August, but we're looking at it now to fund it on this
well,
bond elect.
if you don't approve it in the budget process, we don't have to spend it. We won't issue, we will issue only what you approve to issue. This is just to say our intention is to issue. Okay? If council decides one or more of the projects that are listed are not to be funded, we won't borrow the money. We can go less, but if we don't put this in at 3.8 million, then we got to go through this whole process again, starting with the notice of intent. This is to knock out this step. If you approve the funding of rebuilding the annex, we don't have to go through notice of intent again.
I think I would like to have, I think many of us on the council would rather have heard about expanding City Hall and restructuring, rebuilding the annex before this meeting, when we're seeing that it's gonna be put in this bond election. I mean, we're finding these things out on a second Tuesday of the month city council meeting, when this should have been last week on the workshop. We have 10 items on the agenda that we could have discussed last week, and we wouldn't have been on the phone an hour and a half. And this is a surprise. I feel like this is a oh yeah kind of a thing. And I understand where y'all are coming from, but I'm thinking that the city council members don't appreciate this last minute dropping stuff on us. And I'm not here to discuss it. I'm not upset. Let me finish, Mayor. It's just that you guys need to stop doing this to us. And we understand where the money's going and all of that. I'm just making an editorial comment for everybody on the council.
Let me make an editorial comment. If you want to come attend every meeting we have amongst our directors, then you'll get current updates. Until then,
City manager,
you will get
city manager, city manager. The reason we have workshops on the first Tuesday of the month, as required by the charter, is for you guys to tell the council members what's going on. Nope, I have no need to sit in every meeting that you guys have. But I would like for you guys to use the work session that we have planned for the purpose that we have it planned. Thank you.
How
All right.
soon are we needing the well done? What that said, didn't they say something about this year or something like that, as soon as possible? Hello?
All I know is the housing addition we're potentially going to happen on Hannah Ranch property. As long as they know that we're moving forward and putting the well in, they're going to move forward with the project.
But first of all, the Hannah Ranch has to be rezoned, right?
Correct.
Because it's commercial right now. Which, do we even have a P&Z board? Do we have enough for the board?
We just added our 5th member, I believe.
Okay.
So they've got enough to host a meeting now. As long as they have,
you know, we knew about the well and all that. That's true. I'm with Susan on this a little bit. I mean, even in the weekly city manager report, you know, we could have put in about the city hall, expanding and other things to kind of get an idea what's going on. But,
just keep in mind, this is early stages, so it's a possibility. It doesn't mean it's going to happen. So we're looking at some things that we need.
Well, we're talking $3 million.
Well, but we'll, like I said, I want to go into more detail on this at a later meeting so you can see where the money's going to be coming from. And I think it's a 40-year term, right, Craig?
The certificate of obligation is slightly different. So there's a couple of different options, and let me see if I can help explain this a little bit better. So everybody understands what we have a potential development that's looking to come in. In order for this development to come in, we have to be able to supply them water. With our current standing, we can't supply them water with current water wells that we've got, which is what triggered and what prompted the search for where are we going to come up with the money to be able to put in a water well.
Right.
That has led to planning, which we've had several meetings with Jeff and Lisa Nicoletti. One of the things that we need to start doing as a city is planning more than just 6 months ahead of time. So we're trying to plan 2, 3, 5, 10, 15 years down the road rather than just last minute planning. So brought everybody together. What are the long-term plans? What are we looking to do? As a part of that, as a part of the conversations came up, well, what about our annex? What about the fire station remodel? The financial advisor is the one who said, if there are other projects that we want to try to include, rather than a year and a half from now or 2 years from now, going out and having to reseek that funding for those little projects, let's look at it all right now. So what we did is we brought everybody together and found out what are the immediate items that we need to address right now that are an issue. The annex was one of those issues that came up. The annex being needing significant repair, the fire station needing significant repair. So the goal here was, in order to do this in a timely manner associated with the budget and to be able to satisfy the requirement with the development, let's go ahead and throw all this stuff together to start with. And then, and I know it was thrown to you last minute, but then once we have this very first meeting next Tuesday, we can discuss in detail and in depth what exactly we're looking to have done and where we can go from there.
What are the much needed repairs on the annex and on City Hall specifically?
Well, City Hall's not, so the City Hall itself is not on there, but there is a property immediately adjacent to City Hall that is becoming available for a very low price. So what the part of that was included, I'm sorry, I'm being thrown in this last minute. Part of that was included was if we can go ahead and obtain that piece of land, then we can just hope we have it. We don't have to worry about it being sold to anybody else. We have that in case 10 years down the road, we decide to expand on the City Hall. We want to add a parking lot, anything along those lines. So that's just for the property to obtain that piece of property that's immediately adjacent to City Hall. Those conversations are still very early. We're not even sure that 100% sure that they want to sell us that property. So there's a lot of conversations happening at once. But since we're going for funding, it's better to take it in large amounts at smaller increment or less frequently than it is to take out large amounts more frequently. Does that make sense?
Yes.
Again, I'm sorry. I wasn't prepared to talk on this topic, so I'm sorry. I'm trying to
Well, it's
explain.
like the well side. If we'd have known about that, we could have included that in the funding that we've applied for. The water, Texas Development Water Board. But if we'd known about the water wells, we could have included it in that and got a great rate on it. But that didn't happen. So we wasn't aware of the situation that we had brewing. And
Well, I think
I thought we'd been talking about this. I thought we'd been talking about this new water well for quite a while.
yeah.
We talked about the problems with the water tanks. We haven't really talked about the problems with the well itself, as far as getting a new well. Now that the development has come in, we took out that Texas Water Development Board loan to replace and upgrade a lot of the water lines. What wasn't a part of that conversation, and what should have been a part of that conversation, honestly, was the water well. Unfortunately, it wasn't. It was overlooked. We've secured that loan. Immediately after we've secured that loan and everything is signed, sealed, and delivered, that's when we learned that this development is looking to come in. And they, because of that development, we're going to have another water well to provide them enough water. So unfortunately, we couldn't tie that into the previous loan that we had just taken out. So we've got to look at another alternative. Otherwise, we're not going to get that development. And I think one of the big things to consider is that development is important because of the revenue that it's going to generate based off of property tax and water revenue. So the development itself is kind of the seed of all this and what we're looking to try to secure. The other things are just extras that we'll address once we get into this meeting next week that we'll be able to give a lot of details on. To answer the question about specifically what's wrong with the annex, we have a lot of structural issues, roof issues. We've got a lot of termite damage over there, not to mention just the general age of the building itself. It does not tend to attract too many rentals. Remodeling it would open up a lot of opportunities for the city to host different events, rent out for different events. Be able to host conferences and things and really help kind of put Everman on the map and have an economical impact as well. The fire station, it's been a great fire station for a long time, but we've got a lot of electrical issues. The second story of it now is starting to bow on the floor. The floor is starting to give. So there's a whole lot of safety concerns over there. I'll be more than happy to take all the pictures in the world for you and bring them to you to show you. Or if you guys would like to come by and visit the station sometime, we can walk through and you can take a look at some of the problems and issues we've got. But all those combined, we were just trying to throw them in here at one time to make sure that it's all on the table and eligible. So if council so chooses to move forward with it, we can do so.
well, let's move past this. Like I said, there will be other meetings about this and we'll get into more detail. This was kind of the deal to introduce this to you guys that these are some things that we're looking at. So,
Okay, well, let me just ask one thing real quick. Okay, on the Hannah Ranch thing, if it wasn't the houses coming in, if it wasn't, commercial, for instance, would we still had to have done the well?
Yes, ma'am. That was
Okay.
one of the questions that we had posed. The original assessment was that we had enough water to support a development at that location.
So
But
any type of development.
yes,
You're
but
gonna
now that we've gotten plans and things have progressed
Okay.
forward, we have now received quite the opposite word that we do not have the supply to.
Okay, all right. That's all I
but
want to know.
that's just our current situation, with or without that project, we still, technically, we don't have the water supply that we should have. That's why
Yeah.
this has come about.
Okay, I just wondered.
But, okay, well, let's, unfinished business, we have none. Mayor's report. Just one quick thing. You guys are all aware of the mobile home park on Forest Hill Drive. Forest Hill or Fort Worth has just changed the zoning on a section of property just west of the park that connects to it. And they're going to add 400 to 500 more mobile homes.
Oh,
I've had several phone conversations with Forest Hill about it because they're not real happy about it. I spoke to Greg today and they're talking about running all that traffic down Alta Mesa into Fort Worth. They're not going to allow them to tie into Forest Hill Drive. So we'll see how it goes, but they're supposed to be calling me and setting up a meeting with me on that, the developers. So even though it's not in our city, I'm going to give them my 2 cents worth. So
When is that supposed to take place?
don't know yet. I hadn't heard from them. It's early stages. All they've done is change the zoning. There's been no traffic study or anything else done. So, but it's coming. Once, you know,
And where,
I says that's
What's
going
that?
to
where is it again? Mayor,
Okay.
where is that again?
you know, the mobile home park in Fort Worth on Forest Hill Drive.
Okay, I know the trailer park. Where are they looking to expand?
Well, they're going to go that section there. They own the property that's due west of there. It'll make it
Okay.
one big park, but they're also looking at some additional properties. So they
In
wanted
that
to come
general area?
They wanted to come in and put mobile homes in the Hannah Ranch property. We told them that ain't going to happen.
No, never know.
But
Oh my
Can we
God.
dictate what they put there?
what's that?
Can we dictate what they put there?
As long as our zoning says they can't, then we can. Now, Fort Worth changed the zoning from single family to mobile home, so they don't have a leg to stand on now.
Oh.
They, you know, I talked to one of the council members over and they said, well, we'll just deny it. And I thought, well, at this point, you can't deny it. You've already changed the zoning. So legally, if you try to stop them, then they're going to take legal action against you. So we don't have anything zoned manufactured housing or mobile home in our city, and we won't if I have anything to do with it. So
That's
Is
gonna be
that
in our
Everman
school
School
district,
District?
right?
okay, more than one person's talking.
Go ahead, Judy.
Go ahead.
Isn't that Everman School District?
Yes,
Okay.
it's a school district, but we have no say-so in the school district.
Right, I know. But it's gonna be a lot of traffic.
But I'm just making you aware of that. When I get the traffic study, I'll be looking at it hard and heavy and see how it affects us. I've also talked to Gunderson and told him we might probably need to start looking at using our road repair taxes to maybe start looking at some traffic lights. So we're going to start looking at that and see, we've got 2 intersections in particular that we need to be looking at. So, but once we get more details on this, I'll make you aware of it. Setting alternate meeting dates. Like I said, we'll be meeting, was it next week, Susan?
Yes, next Tuesday.
Okay, next Tuesday. That's just
At
a
what
brief
time?
meeting.
I believe same time, 5:30.
No.
I probably won't make it because I will be we changed our hours back. I don't get off till 6 now.
Okay.
There's not a time set here on the schedule.
No.
So if there's a time that serves better for everybody on council, it's up to y'all.
I'd like to ask, as a courtesy, could I get a reminder when we're having a meeting versus me having to have to go online and see when our meeting date is?
Just get with Mindy, work it out with Mindy. So I think she's been trying to send out emails and stuff to everybody, letting them know when the meetings are.
Right, but I'm saying I have to either go online. I have to go online to see when the meeting is or if it's been canceled. I mean, versus just getting a call saying, "Hey, on a Friday we got a meeting Tuesday."
Well, Johnny, put that request into Mindy and she can call you. So that I don't think Mindy will have a problem doing that. So. All right, citizens' comments. Mindy, do you want to check, see if we have anything?
We don't have any.
Okay. We don't have anything for executive session, so the meeting is adjourned.
All right.
Have a
Thank
good
y'all.
evening. Bye.
Bye.